Welcome to episode 729 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, here again, excuse me, with my co-host, Jen, the Arcane Observer. And tonight we'll be talking about communications between the living and the dead. And I want to just start off by promoting and mentioning that I'm really grateful to Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, for making a website for my podcast. And so now whenever I start these shows, I'm just going to mention that and let you all know that you can find everything there as far as all my social media links, all the ways to support the show, and my Amazon store page. So they're all out over there on the website, along with all the episodes of the show as they release. And I'm really grateful for that. It's something I could not have done on my own. So, it's salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And it's been amazing looking at that and sharing it with everyone and hearing what they think of it. And everyone so far has liked it a lot. So I'm really grateful for that because, like I said, I could never have made that easily on my own anyway. So, with that all done, I'd like to welcome Jen onto the show. Thank you for being here with me, Jen, again this weekend.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And this is going to be interesting. We sort of talked beforehand about sharing experiences, and I can go first if you'd like, Jen, if that works for you, and we can go from there.
Great. That'd be great.
Yeah. So we are going to talk in later shows about methods of sort of intentionally communicating with sort of the other side or spirits or those that have passed on that we love or that we're close to. We will get to that at some point, and then of course the whole idea of more ritualistic or more general communications, but there's times when it seems, and I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, that the communication comes from that other realm, that other place. I've had a few dreams over the years from family members that I've visited in my dreams, and started with my grandpa on my mom's side. I don't remember a ton about that experience, except that we were in some kind of either a restaurant or a hall, like a banquet hall of some kind, and we saw each other, and of course moved over to be near each other and hugged, and it was an amazing thing. I don't feel like it lasted really long, but it was amazing when it happened. It's also been years since this happened, so I don't remember all the details, but the most detailed experience that I had with that kind of what they call a visitation, I believe. It came from my grandma on my dad's side of my family. Both my grandparents on my dad's side of my family have passed, and my grandpa on that side first. And he did come and visit me in a dream when we were in the kitchen of the house that they used to own, that they used to live in. And we, of course, moved toward each other and hugged and everything. And it was amazing. But the one with my grandma was so vivid and so detailed that it really still sticks out in my mind as far as I can remember most of it, if not all of it. This was not long after she had passed. And so, of course, I was still sad and everything. But I had this dream. Started off as a dream. It felt more like a experience than a dream, where I was sitting in the living room at my grandparents' house, and all the furniture was there still, but all of their belongings, everything had basically been cleared off of all the tables and all the counters. Just all the furniture was still there, but everything else was gone, except for my grandma's cell phone that she had used for the last several years of her life. At one point, the landline was canceled, and my family got her a cell phone instead. And it was on the living room table, coffee table, and it was just sitting there. And all of a sudden, it started to ring like it would, but the screen did not light up, which is weird. But I picked it up off the table and put it next to my ear. I don't know why I didn't think to try to wake up the screen to get the screen to turn on, but I didn't. I just put it next to my ear, and I heard my dad's voice, who my dad is still, thankfully, very much alive. And he said, "Well, I'll be there in a minute." And I said, "Okay." And the call ended, and I put the phone back on the table, and the front door opened, and my family started walking in. It was all people that are still alive, and we all started moving into the towards the dining room. And my grandma walked in next, in the middle of basically of everyone. And now, for the last several years of her life, she needed a cane or a walker to get around. But in this experience, in this visitation, she didn't need that. She looked the same, but she didn't need that to get into the house, and she moved a lot quicker than she normally could, as far as I knew anyway. And everyone moved into the dining room, and several people from the family moved into the kitchen. And it was like a family gathering. We used to have those all the time over there. A lot of times it'd be almost every weekend. There'd just be whoever could go over there on the weekends would visit and make food and visit and everything. And so I was in the dining room with everyone, and I didn't sit down. There was only a few chairs in the dining room at the time, and but my grandma sat down in her favorite chair, which I eventually inherited and had for many years before it started to break down. And she was just looking around at everybody, and she would look at me from time to time and just smiled. And I could feel that she was there, but everyone else was just sort of there as scenery, as part of the experience, but they weren't there consciously. And this happened a few times, and I was unable to talk just because I was so shocked at the whole experience, I guess. I wish I could have, but maybe I couldn't have. I don't know. And this lasted for a few minutes as everyone started going into the kitchen, getting food ready, apparently. And then I remember seeing her looking at me one more time, and then I woke up. And yeah, it was just really amazing because I felt like she was there, and she was telling me that she was okay, and that everything was okay. So I woke up crying, of course, because it was just so amazing. But so looking forward to hearing what you think about that, Jen, as far as that goes.
I just think it's really wonderful, that you get to have a dream like that and sort of have the experience with them again like that. So I don't know, it's very moving,
Yeah, it was. I've had like I said, a few other experiences with my family that have passed on in dreams, and couple others with my grandma, but they were a lot shorter and not as detailed or vivid. I do remember I had one other experience that was really quick, but we met somewhere in some kind of a building, and I don't remember most of what she said, but at the time she mentioned I needed to take vitamins for whatever reason. And I that's the only thing I remember from that dream that I remember. And I took them, and it worked for a while, and I haven't felt like I had to take them for a while now, but I don't know if I just needed to take them at the time or what, but it's amazing how that one message came through. That's probably the most important message of that one other dream that I had there.
It's just so sweet that she was still, just the feeling and knowing that they're still with you, and they may have even maybe advice or information like that. I think it's just incredible. And that coming through in the dream state like that, and not just signs around your home or your environment, but actually playing out like a movie and talking with them. I think it's just wonderful, your experiences you had through your dreams.
Yeah, and I did have one experience with my dad and my stepmom that was not, of course, I was not dreaming at that point. And I think I've shared this on the show before, but I can go into that real quick. And we will get to talking with you more, Jen. I'm just thinking about these things as we go. I was visiting my dad and stepmom's house not too long after they had gotten together, and I just made my first appearance, so to speak, on a podcast as one of the people that shared their experiences, and I wanted to play that for my dad and my stepmom. And so I brought at the time I had a laptop, and I brought that, and I loaded the shows onto there, and we were all sitting in the upstairs living room that they have, and I started playing it, and as soon as my voice came out on that episode, the fan, the light in the ceiling fan turned on, and I thought that someone had a remote and they turned it on because I didn't hear any movement. But I looked up and I saw that my dad and my stepmom were both just staring at the light. And apparently that light had not worked since my stepmom had gotten the house. So several years before that, it was just broken. She could never get it to work. And so they were both shocked at that. And it stayed on for, I don't even remember how long now, several minutes for a while there, and then eventually turned off. And it was weird because after that, it actually worked for a while again, before eventually it did stop working again. But my dad and my stepmom and I were talking, and we felt like it was my grandma sort of checking in and maybe even encouraging me at the time to get into that whole podcasting thing, because not long after that is when I started getting into all this. And so yeah, it was really amazing. But that's only happened that one time, one experience, and it never did that again in that house. So yeah,
That's incredible.
it is. Yeah, so I don't know, but that's what we feel like it was. And so yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about all this as well, Jen.
Yeah, I think that, having little signs like that, and you had a pretty close relationship with your grandmother. You were talking about like how she used to cook tortillas on the stovetop and everything, and right, as the same grandma.
Yes, yeah. We were very close. I used to visit her once a week, whenever I could, during the week, and for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years of her life, I think, around there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so definitely was close.
It's so neat about the light not working and then it just coming back on. So yeah, I would think that it was too. If it was playing and then and they were living in her house.
Nope, actually, this was a different house. This was a totally different town and
Oh,
everything.
okay.
So, but it
Well,
was
still,
just
she would be with you, so that's neat. Just following
yeah,
around the family.
yeah. And it was not too long. It was after the experience I had with the her visiting me in my dreams, but it was not too many years after she had passed either. So, yeah, definitely, it was really amazing.
I mean, I think that that our family members definitely stay with us. I absolutely believe that, and that you'll have these encounters from time to time with them. I completely agree with that and think that it's likely. And then the communicating through dreams, I think it's really special when that happens. Because it's not. Some people, they don't have any experiences with it. Like they won't, and they'll be really upset about it. But then there'll be these certain things that happen. So it's really, I think it's a privilege, sort of in a way, to get to experience it again. And I don't know if I wonder what it takes for them to be able to come into the dreamscape like that. It's really neat. Or if it's just
Yeah,
natural.
I've heard that it's easier for them to do that. And I guess that sort of makes sense if we're talking about spirits being consciousness and energy, being able to interact with us when we're sleeping. Maybe it is easier.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's possible. I do think there's probably all kinds of variables because, like you said, it doesn't happen for everyone. Sometimes it happens for one or two people in the family, and then they are told in the dream to tell other family members important things or certain things. And so it does seem to be. I'm very lucky that I'm glad that I had those experiences because, yeah, I know I've heard that before as well through different shows and things. That not everyone has the experience, and that's yeah, I don't know why or how that works or how it doesn't work, but it does seem to be a thing that it seems almost random, but I don't know that it is. It feels that way sometimes.
Well, maybe, I mean, there could be just that maybe there's sensitivity to it. Like some people may be more inclined to have it happen. I think that's very likely, especially if they had like maybe a sort of psychic connection with that family member or that person. If there was some type of sort of a, not just people have relationships, with their family members, but sometimes there's like this, it feels like at least that there's some type of, where you can talk to somebody without actually having to say anything. Like that sort of thing, like where you're both in a room or across a table and you can give the other person a look and they kind of, you know, or there's a sort of silent communication going on already, or like a scenario's going on and you kind of already know that person so well that you kind of, know how they would react to it or what they might think. There's almost like a psychic connection between them. So I think that maybe in scenarios like that, and when the person's particularly like kind of open to it, maybe that's why they have more experiences in the dream state or something. Like if they have a really close connection like that, or it's something about the deceased as well, right? I would think that
Yeah,
there's something with them.
yeah, I do, and I do know that my family, on my dad's side, they do have. It's not everybody, but there's a few people that have been sensitive to these things over the years. My older sister, I believe, is somewhat sensitive, and then my grandma was as well. Apparently, her father, who I never actually got to meet, so my great grandfather was also somewhat sensitive. So apparently, there's something in our line of the family where we do have that ability. A couple other family members I won't name, but yeah, it's I think the sensitivity is it can definitely be a factor there as well.
Yeah, I bet that does have a role with it but then sometimes I've heard people say who don't really even lean into these things. They have experiences too where they'll be like, it was so strange, but I saw, my friend or, that sort of, I don't know, just that people do have those experiences, even though they may not be inclined at all. So I've heard about things like that, or, that they have experiences of what's premonition type dreams. People would say like automatically, like, oh, that person may be kind of sensitive or something, but they're, they think of themselves as being really grounded in a way, so, or not really interested in that sort of thing. So it's really, I don't know, it's just neat. Very neat. And with the dream state and the communicating with, I guess, people who've passed over or that are no longer just in the body, I think they definitely are still communicating, and I imagine that the more you pay attention to it, without being particularly like obsessive or anything, that I don't know, it probably happens all the time. And maybe in a more natural state of mind to accept that it could happen instead of just, you know, taking more of a closed off, like a they're gone sort of mindset. So I think that it's really wonderful and special, the dreams that you did have. And it's incredible. As if they're
Yeah, I
still
have.
alive. As if they're still
Yeah,
alive.
definitely. I have one more that's kind of funny. I mentioned this before that I can share to sort of close out this episode here, and then we'll talk more on the next one. But Probably one of my other favorite experience I had with that was when I was listening to an audiobook one day, middle of the day, and it was a book. Of course, it was Robert Monroe's Journeys Out of the Body, and of course that's sort of something I'm interested in, and I've had several experiences with. So I was sitting there in my chair listening to this book, and of course I fell asleep. I had my blindfold on and everything, and I found myself in my grandparents' house again. Now it's not my grandparents' house, but the way it was when they were still there. And I was hearing this voice in this dream that wasn't theirs. And I don't remember now what it was saying. It could have even been the book, like the actual material from the book. I don't remember now, but I was annoyed because I wanted to turn off this voice because my grandparents are right there in the living room, in their favorite chairs and everything. And I wanted to talk with them because they were there and I could feel that they were there. And I was just searching the house trying to find where this voice was coming from. And there was even one of my old laptops was on the dining room table, and I didn't even think to go look at that in the dream, in the experience. But it's funny that there was that connection there. And I just could not figure out where the voice is coming from. And eventually my grandma laughed and said, "It's coming from you, James." And I stopped and I woke up. And I woke up laughing because, of course, it was coming through me somehow into this visitation with my grandparents. And it was the sound of that audiobook playing. And it was, of course, about out-of-body experiences. So I thought that was hilarious. I don't know if you heard me tell that one before, Jen.
No, I haven't actually. That's the first time I've heard it. So that's really incredible too. So you just have a ton of experiences with these, and I think it's wonderful, you know? And it's helpful too to hear it and everything. And I think a lot of people can relate to it as well. A lot of people are thinking they've had these experiences, and like it's good to have it sort of vindicated that it's not just like this one and only experience, or like just the imagination per se. There are people who having this similar phenomenon. It's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. That's what got me into trying to do these shows and looking into, because there are similar experiences all around. And I do think you're right about how it's sometimes it happens to people that don't think any of this is real, and other times it happens over and over again to people that are open to it. And we are just about out of time here, but that's why I'm going to end with this. That's why I always say that there's just so many variables, I think, to all of this, and that's why it's hard to figure out because of that. It's just I don't even think it's possible to know all the variables. But that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you again for joining me, Jen, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, James. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.
You as well. Yep. Yeah. So thank you all for being here for this, and we will talk more in the next episode, more about this topic, and there'll be a few more parts to this. We're gonna get into the deeper over the next couple of weekends of recording here, and get into some wider topics here, including just different mechanisms and ways of communicating that people have used in the past, and still use today, and what that might look like, maybe even in the future. Who knows? So thank you all for being here and listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.